go. I didn't want to record to my computer. Okay, so good afternoon, folks. Sorry, today I had some issues, technology issues, but hopefully everything will be fine. August the 5th, this is our first meeting in August. My goodness, it's almost, very soon it's going to be the end of the year. And as usual, let's do our prayer. Do I have a volunteer for the prayer to read the prayer for me? Okay, so Giles. Thank you.
Coming up. Okay.
Let's close our eyes and
Okay. Opening prayer, asking for protection. Protection for us, our group, and others in need. Synchronizing us with our spirit mentors and the ones of this study group. Dear Brother Jesus, as we gather here today to learn from the Spirit teachings, from your loving message, and from each other's life experiences, we ask you please to come beside us now and lead us on our study today and on the days ahead of us and through the time when our mind cannot cope. Please help us to find peace and calming inner thoughts. You hold us safe, dear Jesus, and please do the same for this group, for our mentors here with us today, for our family members, our houses, our relatives, and all of those crossing our mind right now, as well as everyone in need, for you know them all, and you never forget anyone. And so be it. Amen.
Thank you, Giles. Thank you. You certainly have a much better voice than mine. And pronunciation as well. So okay, so guys, August the 13th, save the date. Sonia Rinaldi, she will be with Sandra Champlain, and so they will be talking about some of her experiments and new findings. So it's gonna be 3 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. In Brazil. So she sent me this, and she wanted everyone to know about it. But on the Saturday, it will be our meeting at 3 p.m. And then Luis, Leda, myself, Maria, we'll be talking about the book, The Messengers, and that is going to be an open discussion. So if you didn't read the book, that's fine. This is us talking about what this book is about, and giving you an overview about the message behind the whole story. And I did send to you all the email about our meeting in Brazil, September the 7th to 10th. I just want to remind you, even though there will be a lot of people not going, but we'll be recording some sessions, and the idea is to make them available on YouTube, so you will have a chance to see. We'll try to do it online, but chances are we are not that savvy with technology, so problems might happen. But we promise to do recording of those videos, and post them, share them with you all. Okay, so for today, I brought this story. It's about Chico, and here we have Chico Xavier. I don't like saying Xavier because his name is really Chico Xavier. So Chico and his dog. There are a lot of stories about Chico's dogs and him recognizing this dog in different reincarnations. So this was his favorite dog. But anyway, the story of the day is not about this dog. I'll promise to talk about this dog later on. But today is about a lady that used to attend to Chico's Spiritist Center in Brazil. And constantly she was facing a lot of issues, a lot of problems. And evidently Chico was trying to help her and, tell her to pray and praying for her and telling her a lot of advices. But one day she came to him and she was complaining because it was really hard on her. And then she said, Chico, I do not know what else I can do, because no matter what I do, I feel like my not her obsessor, but I feel like some of the spirits, obsessors, the spirits, they do not leave me alone. They do not leave me in peace. They still, bothering me a lot. And then Chico was trying to comfort her, to give her some advices. And finally he said, I told you to continue doing, your work and, handling your life the same way you were doing, like, praying and doing good, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, if you feel like they are still bothering you, my advice to you is the following. Take a broom and sweep, but sweep that floor hard until you fall in a faint. You fall down like fainted. And then you will see that those spirits will set you free. So I like this story because sometimes when I feel like I am, struggling a little bit, I feel like something is not quite right. I do work a lot myself, and I do also, do the housekeeping here in my house, and I do things, for several hours. And I repeat to myself, and I say out loud, I say, until I faint, Chico, until I faint. So no matter how hard, how tired I am, then I said, until I get myself fainted, Chico. But this story actually, I heard somebody mentioning this week again, and that brought to my attention something that we did study when we were talking about mechanism of mediumship. And I remember we said something about obsession, that obsession is characterized by the subordination of one mind that assimilates the suggestions of another, able to subdue its reason and will. So that was the definition for obsession. But then that brings another thought, which is from the Spirit book, and the questions 459, do spirits influence our thoughts and actions? And then the answer is they often direct both. Their influence is greater than you think, for frequently it is they who guide you. And then the following question, do we have any of our own original thoughts, while others that are suggested to us? And the answer, your soul is a spirit that thinks. You surely have noticed that many thoughts and frequently conflicting ones come to your mind. Some of these ideas are your own, some other ideas are ours. So this leads you to feelings of uncertainty, because you have two conflicting ideas in your mind. So meaning there must be some suffering coming out of those conflicting ideas, coming out of that uncertainty. But going back to Chico's story, when he said to the lady, he said, work hard until you faint, you feel like you have no energy. I found this quote that Chico said, and I cannot say exactly which book this is, but anyway, the quote is, anyone looking for a useful, anyone looking for any useful occupation, whatever its nature, escapes the traps that obsessing spirits set for men on earth. So useful occupation, not just, any occupation, but something useful. And then I was thinking, okay, so, but what about the workout? Why doing this work so hard? Is that the reason, or is this it is really necessary for us to drain the build-up energy? Is there any correlation between build-up energy and spirits that are in tune with our thoughts? So that's something for us to think about. I do not know, Luis, if you have any idea, but I was just thinking about what Chico said, the correlation between doing work, useful work, and obsessors, spirits. Any comment or any? Yeah, go ahead, Luis.
Yes, it reminds me of one part of the book, and the passage of the book Liberation by Chico Xavier and the spirits of André Luiz. And while this is André Luiz's spirit guide or mentor was in touch with a judge, an incarnate judge here on earth, because this judge was having a problem. He had solved in his mind a case, a trial, but in fact, he made a big mistake. And as he was a very disciplined man in terms of work, he was not having the influence by the bad spirits, who in turn were attacking his daughter. So this is something that really, caught my attention, because the guy was not having so much problems with obsessors because he was very disciplined and focused on his work. And his daughter, who had a very an easier life, she was married to a wealthy guy, she was in a miserable situation, being pursued and obsessed by tens of spirits that were trying to kill her, right? Actually. Wow. And this is something that really It caught my attention because of his discipline, but he hadn't made a mistake. And the Spirit just came to him and said, do you really think that every decision that you made, just because it was exactly according to the chart, according to the rules in your mind, that you have never made a mistake? So this is something that is for us to give second thoughts about.
It's very interesting because when I was thinking about this story, we discuss and we know, depending on the quality of our thoughts and the quality of the ideas and the work we are doing, then that will put us in sync on good or with good or bad spirits, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to energy, the body energy, do you think the body energy, any build-up energy, will have anything to do with the obsession process?
Well, somehow I think so, because they come to us many times in the process of, how can I say, I forgot the word in Portuguese, parasites, as parasites.
Mm-hmm.
They want energy from us. They want ectoplasm, they want vital fluids, right? Many times. And as if you don't put them available to these spirits, other than hard work, they won't be interested in you.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one kind of obsession. I'm not talking about those kind of old obsessions that is a person that there were some wrongdoings from your part towards them. This is another case, it's a different situation. But the common obsession that you can, harvest on the streets or at a party, there you go. Or, of course, if you come home and you start doing things, doing the ironing, wash the bathroom, whatever work you have to do, it's better, because many times that's what I advise people to do. Yes, young people that have kind of anti-mind, very idle hours, I say, please do something useful, do something useful. Don't let your mind be idle for long, because mostly nowadays their culture is very darkened, right? These days, it's not a feel-good culture at all. So they are in trouble very easily and fast if they don't occupy their minds. Maria.
We have here in Brazil many books that tell us if the obsession process during many times, during years, when you interrupt this process, we can't do trouble to do incarnate people, because the incarnate, I don't know how we can say obsidiado, how I can say it in
Obsessed.
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 Yes, obsesses will turn dependent of the energy of obsessor. It's dangerous to cut without many considerations around the case.
Yeah.
Valdo's book, we have a case that when the obsessor is getting out of obsessed, the obsessed died. Because
this is
our energy is one
entangled, right?
Yes.
The Dr. Bezerra de Menezes, he had this problem. His son was a victim of very serious obsession, and the spirits came to him and said, look, we can free your son, but he will die. What do you choose? He chose for his son to be free, and his son died, right?
Wow.
So,
yeah, but is in this case, well, to be free, but then he died. Wasn't the case that after the obsession did continue after?
No, not the other side. They said he was going to free because he had, of course, his son had to go under a serious treatment on the other side too.
Oh, I see.
Because he was going to be so weak, right? The
Yeah.
problem is that many times the thing begins as a symbiosis.
Mhm.
So it's an interchange of feeding interchange thing, right?
Mhm.
But then sometimes it becomes the person, the spirit, the obsessor becomes a parasite, and he will even lose some parts of his perispirits or their perispirit because he's feeding from the guy, from the obsessed
Energy of,
person.
mhm.
And that's why sometimes they become that what André Luiz calls ovoids. I don't know what the
Yeah.
ovoid is, the egg-like form, because they lose their limbs, they lose their, some other organs, and it's a very serious situation. And sometimes there are specific treatment in spirit release meetings here in Brazil for people to get rid of these egg-like forms, right?
Mhm.
Which bring very, very bad sensation to the patients. And that's why it's important to match, in this case, right, to combine psychiatric, psychological, and spiritual healing at the same time. If you don't use these three things, like spirit release thing, you can postpone the consequences,
Mhm.
but not for long.
Yeah. Yeah. This is obsession class 501. I
Yes.
was talking about the
Tornado.
101.
Big tornado. Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry, Maria, I'm going before you. I know I shouldn't, but Luis said something interesting. How do you determine whether somebody's free of these spirits? You said you had specific meetings to remove obsessing spirits or parasitical
Yes.
spirits.
Well, yes, there's many times it's very conspicuous. It's very clear, the
Mhm.
action, because, for example, not it's not so uncommon to work in a spirit release meeting, and the next day the person who didn't want to get up, didn't want to work anymore, was feeling very bad, under very lots of medicine to even live or wake up, the person just say, hey, come on, I want to go back to work. I want to study again. Where's my girlfriend? Where's my boyfriend? So the consequence is immediate, right? But as Maria was saying, sometimes we have to say, now we have to eat very well, go to an endocrinologist and have a very good sort of diet for you to recover your physical body, so that you shouldn't get sick or something like this, you understand? But you see that the consequences, because the presence of a spirit like this, for example, suppose someone, because of a last reincarnation, because of something, he wants revenge on you, and he will approach you, a spirit that's in very bad condition, but it's in a desperate condition for sucking vital energy for someone, what we call a vampire, right?
Mhm.
So he introduces, because of your bad syntony, maybe you lower your syntony, your tuning
Mhm.
somehow, he brings that kind of void and kind of approaches that thing on you, and you feel very bad. It's what we call, for example, panic today, right? People say, oh, I have a panic thing. Start having very bad dreams of very horrible situations. And many times these dreams you're having are the routine thoughts of these spirits that are in that bad condition. Of course, this is very heavy for someone who is trying to, to live normally. And that's why it's so important. And then it's a dream that people, for example, in the United States, that have so much knowledge about physical mediumship, start forming groups like this. This could be of crazy help for the psychiatrists and the psychologists. This is because after 40 years of experience, nowadays in Brazil, have psychologists that say, oh, come on, now your problem is in the spirit center. I've done my job, all right? Yeah, yes, they say this because they have seen the evidence for so many years that some guys, some more open-minded guys, they just come and say, oh, Yeah, oh, look, I've done this work here. I've given you this medicine. I've given you this therapy, but this part now, it's not on me anymore. Yeah, to mine, never you say.
Yeah, that's very, it's very interesting. There's a lot of things to talk about this, right? So
Yeah.
like Maria, you have a
Yes,
comment?
I think that is very important to say, because I participate in a meeting to evoke spirits linked to the psychosphere of the incarnated obsessed. And our principal cuidado, care, principal care,
Main care?
main
What do you
care,
want to say?
our principal.
Maria principal é prefeito.
Não, então, como é que eu posso dizer nosso principal cuidado?
The main care, the most important.
Yes, the main care is to help the spirit, the obsessor spirit. We need to help him first, because they don't have a body, a physical body, they don't have a family, they don't have many things that incarnate people have. Then if we help the spirits that are around the incarnate people, the chances of to finish the process will be more. In this meeting, the spirits arrived with bad conditions. And the first thing we do is to care which one to begin again, to begin to have a life out in the spiritual plane.
Oh, okay. So what you're trying to say is, what do? You identify the weaknesses, and then you try to educate the spirit on
Yes.
how to start living a normal
Without
life again.
the obsessed, because and we instruct the people to do to change our conduct, to your
Yes.
attitudes.
Yeah.
Because if we take care one spirit out, if the people don't change your attitudes, another one comes to stay with him.
Yeah, if not that obsessed one, it's going to be somebody else, and then somebody else, and then another
Yes.
one. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, very nice. Luis, please.
Yes, very well remembered by Maria, that we cannot get into the trap of being naive and think that the obsessor is always the bad enemy, that he is always the offender, right? No, many times the incarnate is the one who attracts, who draws the spirits to him. I've seen many cases like this, that the spirit said, I'm trying to get away from this woman, but she would never let me go.
Let me go.
Yes. As soon as she leaves her body, when she's sleeping, she comes to me, she attracts me, and she holds on to me, and I'm trying to get. So there are lots of nuances that are very subtle in these situations.
Yeah.
And we cannot eat in a naive way, you understand? We need to understand that many times the drama has come for centuries, right?
Yep.
And it's something that we need to be very serious and very compassionate, right?
Yeah.
Towards anyone in the situation, and very wise too. We need to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You mentioned something, Luis, about once we go to the street, and then if we're walking in the shopping mall, for example, or something, it will feel kind of awkward, weird, in a weird way. and that reminds me that, for example, I love walking I cannot say love because sometimes I want to sleep a little longer, but I love walking my dogs early in the day, because it feels good, of just the sunlight and, in the early hours. But sometimes it is not possible because I have something to do, something to take care of first. And then I go afterwards. So, so if I go like 9 a.m. Today, I was walking the dogs. It was 9 a.m., kind of late for to walk them. But I noticed that in those days, once I do that, after everybody walked their dogs and etc., did their exercising, etc., it is not really nice for some reason. It doesn't feel the same way. I noticed there is a clear difference, and it's not about, so maybe, who knows who was walking by, who was, passing by. It is definitely not the same as if I go like 6 a.m. Is completely different. So yeah, very nice.
Yes, I think you're talking a little bit about psychometric sensitivity, right? In the book, in the realms of mediumship by Chico Xavier too, there's something that made me learn a lot. The spirits, one of the guides, they say that he says that there's a difference between mediumistic sensitivity and psychological sensitivity. And for example, Livia and I are very psychologically sensitive. So we avoid crowds many times, we avoid public houses many times, and even some mediumistic circles we have to avoid because the situation is hard on us. But I know many people, we are talking about this with Maria yesterday, Leda, they were here in my house, and Vladimir too. And we were talking about this because some people like Maria, for example, she can, a very bad spirit, a spirit in a very bad situation can go through her. And later on, after the meeting, she's okay, no problem. It doesn't happen to a person who is psychologically sensitive, right? Which the person feels longer the influence of people's minds. If you sit on a chair where a sad person had been sitting before, you will feel sad for some hours, or even if the whole week, if you don't get, you're not careful about it. So it's and that's the point that I usually say to some psychiatrists here in Brazil, who is spiritist psychiatrist, that once I met a girl, she was having a problem, and she came to the psychiatrist who was a spiritist and said, I have a mediumship that is making me embarrassed and making me impairment, having some impairment, mental impairment. And the guy gave her some medicine to kind of shut down her mediumship. But she was not a mediumistically sensitive person. She was a psychologically sensitive person. And because of this, the medicine was doing very bad to her. No? So I say, go back to your psychiatrist.
She lost the control.
Yes. So see how important these books by Chico Xavier are, right? Because they're talking about such profound situations that sometimes even a guy who is a technique, who's right, a guy who's a practitioner of psychiatry didn't, right? It didn't dawn on him that she was not the one to receive that kind of medicine. Maria, for example, she works with one of the very famous psychiatrists who are spiritists here in Belo Horizonte and in Brazil, right? And she works mediumistically with him too. So these guys in Brazil, many of them, they study about the stuff and they do practice a lot this kind of healing.
Yeah, very nice. Oh my goodness, so many things to learn, a lot
Could
of
be
details.
Here,
yeah,
hours and hours talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because this is daily life, right? So how one can, protect himself or herself. Okay, so last time we talked about still law of liberty. Question A66 is the fate that seems to shape our material destinies a result of our free will. And the answer, you yourself have chosen your trial. The more severe it is, and the better you bear it, the higher you are elevated. Those who spend their physical lives selfishly, enjoying wealth and happiness, are cowardly spirits who remain stationary. The number of those who are unfortunate is much greater in your world than those who are fortunate, because spirits generally choose the trial that will be most useful to them. They too clearly see the futility of your splendor and pleasures. Besides, the most fortunate life is always more or less troubled, if only by the absence of sorrow. So with that, we go to the A67, I think is the last question for fatalism. Where does the expression born under a lucky star originate? Do not know if there will be any okay, go ahead, Maria. You are on mute.
Yes, sorry. I think that Luis can talk about us for this. But although I have no knowledge of this subject, but I believe in the influence of the stars in our lives. Nowadays, there is an important science that studied this. I think that is an astral map. That's right, astral map shows the correct position of the stars and the planets in relation to the Earth at the time of birth of a certain person. Many times when I have meeting with Luis and Leda and Livia, they talk about the influence of the signals, how I can say it in English?
Astrology.
Astrology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I many times I'm lost in this.
Thank you, Maria. Luis, please.
Yes, once they asked Allan Kardec about this, as I told you before, and he said, well, about numbers, I've seen very interesting things, and I've studied something, but about astrology, I have no idea. So at first, for me, it's a no. But of course, as I was talking to you some days ago, some meetings ago, there are some evidence. There is some evidence that something about influence of birth dates, and so much so that, of course, we can feel, and I've been studying this for about 30 years, 40 years. And it's, I could see lots of evidence. But the question here is interesting, because where does the expression born under a lucky star originate? So this expression born under the lucky star, it really sounds superstitious, right?
Yeah.
And of course, first, in the previous question, 9866, they say that being lucky is something very relative in this world. Because they said that the lucky guys sometimes are the ones who are in a bad spiritual condition. And the quote unquote unlucky guys are the ones who are performing better and evolving better spiritually. Well, that kind of thought, even here in Brazil, you need to be very careful when you expose this kind of thought in the spiritual center, depending on the social class where the Spiritist Center is located, because people can, right, can be kind of angry at you because you read this kind of, no, the situation is not like that, this is not like this. It's you see, Spiritism today in Brazil is something spread all over the country, but the real Spiritism many times faces lots of resistance. And the previous question is one of the answers, whose resistance is sometimes strong. I remember once I was in a meeting, and I remember this meeting because there was a woman, a very famous woman in the field of the lawmakers in Brazil, right? The lawyers. And I started speaking something natural, say that, for example, today you can be reincarnated in an intelligent body, a wealthy situation, but tomorrow you can have those things removed from you so that you can learn something different. The woman was very mad at me, and she said, no, no, no way. If I am good in this reincarnation, if I'm intelligent in this reincarnation, if I am developed in this reincarnation, the next incarnation I can only be better.
Why people think it's all about them, you know? I mean,
Yeah, so she was really angry at me. I said, oh my God, I forgot that real Spiritism cannot be spoken everywhere. Because it was something for me that's so natural. Since I was 14 years old, I've learned this. Emmanuel says, you can be intelligent this life, you can be wealthy this life, you can be beautiful, and tomorrow you can be born on the banks of a very poor river in Africa.
you may decide, try something different. That reminds me another story from Chico, because there was this guy working in the group with the youth. This guy, friend of Chico, he was a member of the committee in charge of, the youth attending the Spiritist Center. And then one day this guy was talking to Chico and said, Chico, I really do not understand, is life really fair? Because I do everything I can do. I, help the poor. I work here in the Spiritist Center. I study. I try my best, treating well people. But no matter what I do, it seems like everything I do is not going well, because look, I'm by myself. My wife left me. Oh, by the way, I just lost my job. I'm unemployed right now. I'm struggling. I see my bills coming. I do not have money. But I see, and then he said, but I see my neighbor, he's so rude with everybody, with his dog, with his son, with his wife. And it seems like money is not a problem. He has a new car every year. And, he has a house, nice family, etc. But he's still, a rude guy. And seems like life is treating him so well. And I'm trying my best over here, and life is treating me so bad. And then Chico said, oh, but this is such a wonderful news for you, because you see, your neighbor right now is just planting, while you and we are already harvesting. So, see what I'm saying? So life may be bad, but it might be a good sign, because now you are working towards a karma, or, you are trying to repair something, right? So, Luis, would you please read the answer for us?
Okay, where does the expression born under a lucky star originate? The answer is from an old superstition that connected the stars with the destiny of each human being, a metaphor that some people are foolish enough to take literally. Yes, indeed, agreed.
Oh, question about. Okay, so now we are.
By the
Hold
way,
on,
Anna,
not so fast, not so
Not so
fast.
fast. Okay, go ahead.
I am old. I have been lucky all my life. They call it blessed here in the South, but I don't think that's got anything to do with it. Everything that happens is lucky for me. When I could fall downstairs, I don't. When my toast falls, it falls the butter side up.
better side.
Every turn I make, some good things happen. So what the story says is that I'm doomed. Why?
Well, I don't think you're doomed. I think you're having a great opportunity to make it, better. So if you were born next to a library and you just don't study any books, oh, that's a problem for you. But if you take advantage of your luck, right, and do good, for example, this husband, Anna was talking about, the guy that was grumpy and treating his wife badly, although he had all the good opportunities in life, he is getting into a serious problem. I remember once another guy who came to Chico Xavier talking to him and said, Chico, I have a wonderful wife, wonderful children, a good financial life, and but I'm not happy. And Chico concentrated a while and said, Emmanuel is here saying that what is lacking in your life is other people's laughter. Do you understand? So you're having too many good opportunities, but you're not doing good to anyone else but your family.
Yeah.
So it was a good, so being luck means, I think all of us here, for example, we're lucky somehow in this world of so much shortage of anything, right? So we need to be careful about the opportunities we've been having, sure.
But I think the first, it is a good sign, or at least a very good start, just recognizing, acknowledging all of that, all those blessings, right? Like Giles was saying, oh my goodness.
Gratitude is good.
Yeah,
right?
gratitude is very, yeah. Instead of just saying, okay, nothing really exciting happens to me, or, complaining. I think is a nice attitude, just acknowledging and being grateful. Am I sharing? Yeah. So now we move to foreknowledge of the future. Can the future be revealed to human beings? And I'll read the answer because it's very clear. As a rule, the future is hidden from them. It is only in rare and exceptional cases that God permits it to be revealed. Maria, please.
Are you listening to me?
Yes.
In the book Posthumous Works, talking about the faculty of second sight, a kind of clairvoyance mediumship, Kardec declares that if we knew in advance the end of each thing, no doubt the general harmony would be disturbed. The certainty of a happy future would deprive everyone of any initiative, how I can say,
Initiative.
to work and to achieve the objective, our well-being. Our first physical and moral would be paralyzed. The same consequence would produce unhappiness due to the disencouragement.
Discouragement.
Discouragement that each one would feel. Not one would be willing to fight against the final sentence of fate. If I knew what will be happen, I only sit down here and to wait. Therefore, absolute knowledge of the future would be a dangerous present, if I can say it, which would lead us to fatality, one of the most dangerous risks of the development of our ideas, as superior ideas we need to have.
Yeah, we are way too immature.
Yes.
We cannot, it's a toy we do not know how to play with. I mean, I guess. Yeah.
I think Maria is quite right. It would absolutely wreck your incarnation if you knew what the future was. And this is why normally the memory wipe is 100% at birth. You bring your characteristics, but no memories of past, and of course, no memories or knowledge of the future. And as much as you want to look into it, anytime you find out about your future, then I guarantee it's going to change.
Yeah. Thank you, Giles. Leda, please.
I think in the particular sense of it, it's more difficult to see the future, but sometimes the spirituality shows us the future of humankind. Sometimes, like in the oh my God, the last book of the Bible is the
Revelation.
Yeah, thank you, Luis. So sometimes they teach us as a way of teaching humanity how to be better and what are the consequences of our actions. So sometimes the spiritual guides, they talk about the future. So Jesus talked about the future as well, showing us what we should do and what we shouldn't do in a way of teaching to lead us to the right way, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Leda. But why you think, Leda, why you think sometimes we are giving some knowledge? We might not know, but sometimes it happens, right?
Yeah, sometimes it happens because you feel it. It's a way of you to prepare yourself. It's to prepare yourself for what's coming as well, but also for you to understand and do your best to change what needs to be changed, you know. It's a gift for us,
to
right?
Me, yeah, when I think about this, to me is like the spirituality, the spirits, they do not do anything without a good purpose, a very good reason, right? So for example, I remember the last time that happened to me was like some weeks ago. I was driving, coming back home, and for some reason, it was very weird. I just got up my car and start driving. And then when I was in the highway, it was like 40 minutes away from home. And then I was looking towards, the car in front of me, and all of a sudden that image disappeared. And then I saw a car wreck.
Or maybe it's a warning for you. It was a warning for you. But
yeah, I saw, yeah, let me finish. So I saw this car wreck, and then I said, what, that's weird. It was not in front of me. It was not in my lane. It was something like on the side, on my left side. I saw that. So, and then I said, okay, so I do not know what that is. Whatever it is, if it's happening now, then I said a prayer. And then for the whole time that I was driving, I was praying. And 30 minutes later, I saw that car wreck happening in that time. So, and then I saw, that was it. That was it.
yeah, that's something Kardec talks about as well. He has a very nice analogy. I don't know if that's the word. He says that when you are up on a hill, on a mountain, and you see what's down the valley, all down the road, so you can see if someone that's going through that road will be murdered or robbed or attacked, or if there will be an obstacle in the road, because you are higher, you have a higher perspective. So that's not really seeing the future, but seeing the probabilities. So when you have a higher perspective, and when you have access to the spiritual realm, you have that kind of perspective, then you can see what's coming. But it's not that you're seeing the future, you're seeing from a different perspective. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's what happened to you. The accident was already being filled with in the spiritual realm. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I thought, it was like, okay, so somebody needed some prayers, and then they were trying to reach out, whoever was open for the prayers.
It was already happening somehow,
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
Luis wants to say something about it.
Yes, I was going to bring up some, looking on the darker side of premonition, because of problems I've had with mediums, right? Because there's always a medium that wants to stand out among the others. And sometimes they use premonition to do that. Mm. And I remember once there was a medium that she was really once in a while trying to make some very tough premonitions. And once she, in the middle of a spiritist meeting, mediumistic circle, she turned into a woman and said, look, you are pregnant, and you're going to, through you, there will be the reincarnation of a leader of the darkness, right? But no problem. The spirit guides will help you throughout the process. And I said, oh my God, how can this woman say something like this? Imagine if you feel that you are pregnant and your son will be the leader of a great amount of spirits that live in the darkness side of the realms. And then immediately, because I was not directing, I was not monitoring this unit, this meeting, immediately after the meeting, I came to the woman to whom the message had been passed, and I said, look, don't believe it. This is a lie. I said, I know it's a lie. Why do you know that? Because I'm in my roots, right? I'm menstruated.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, dealing with mediums sometimes not easy either, because that's why the Kardecian criterion is so important, because It's ethical at its height, right?
And exactly, and you really do not know, like in the Spiritist Center here in Houston, there is this lady, and she's young, and her husband, and every time I was looking at her, oh, I could see her pregnant, you know. I could see something, you know, and then to the point that at some point I said, Elaine, are you pregnant? She said, no, not that I'm aware of. But sure enough, you know, a few months later, she was pregnant. And then do not ask me why, I knew it was a boy. It was a boy coming, but I kept to myself.
Yeah,
So
something,
up to
some
the point
information
that I
need to be
said,
very careful.
I kept
pass
to
it on.
myself, and then I was so at some point I said, when she was, so I asked her, do you know, is a boy or is a girl? And then she said, oh yeah, we just went yesterday, and it's a boy. So you know, there are some
So
things that
what are you doing by your behaving like this? You are gaining the confidence of higher spirits because you didn't use your power of premonition to gain, respect, right? People that is, admiring you, admiration, things that you're just doing the right thing. If you had the intuition that, no, you need to talk to her about this, you need to say this to her, and you feel that that's not going to be a harmful thing, okay, you should have said. But we need to be very careful about our inner intentions when we deal with spirituality, religion, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Leda.
I reminded about a story of Kardec when he started his works, the spirit of truth. I don't know if it was the spirit of truth, the higher spirits, they told him that he would face so many difficulties. He would be betrayed. He wouldn't be believed. He would be exhausted. He would lose his health. People wouldn't like what he was doing, and it would be tough in so many words. And then afterwards, after all his work, all the books that he have published, in the end of his life, he said, all that the spirits said happened. All the bad things happened to me. I was betrayed. I was persecuted. I lost my health. I'm tired. People didn't believe in me. But the higher spirits didn't say the good things, that I felt so so happy and so how do you say, when you feel that you
Fulfilled, yeah.
fulfilled, when he felt that he had accomplished and helped so many lives and changed so many people and made friends as well and changed people's lives. So the good part, the spirits sometimes they don't tell us. They advise us about the bad parts that are coming because they want us to be strong sometimes. But sometimes they don't want us just to be expecting so much
Flowers
of
only, yes.
flowers
Exactly.
only,
Yeah.
So that's
They don't want
the
to-
way.
Yeah.
That's the way
want-
they do they do things.
They don't want us to create higher expectations, and then when they rather want us to be prepared for the bad stuff, right? So
and that they would always be there for him. I don't know if they said that, but they were always there for him in the bad times.
That's how I take, when you receive bad news, and I remember some of them when I received bad news, and then I said, okay, so if somebody really took the time to come over here and tell me that is telling me no matter what, they will be with me, and you know, it's gonna be okay. So that's
Yeah,
how I take it.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's true.
Because isn't it? Yeah. If they come to you to tell you something, and then they will just, okay, I'm done. I delivered my message to you. You're done. You are by your own, and no, it doesn't make
No,
sense.
they were there the whole time with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. No more comment.
I've
Go ahead.
a small remark here. The memory wipe at birth about the future being revealed to man, to a person, and the point is that things don't always work. One size does not fit all. Spirit makes mistakes, or mistakes happen. I don't know whether that's because bad spirits come around and organize mistakes, or whether
Or
it's
us interfering.
just coincidence. No, or us with the wrong mental attitude. But that shows in so many different ways. So that's not really what I'm talking about. It's just that two-headed humans get born. Now, do they have two spirits in them or one? And how does such a mistake happen? Well, mistakes happen, and that's all. It's just not very often. Usually everything works exactly according to the plan, but sometimes there's a bit of a twist here and there. And of course, that makes it interesting. I mean, because I have to say, until somebody gives me a good reason not to, the purpose of the universe is entertainment. I have to, because there's no way around it. Whatever happens is entertaining, and all stories have happy endings. If it isn't happy, it's not over. So that's what I give. That's why I have gratitude for my life, because no matter what happens, it's just more entertainment. And if there's the occasional accident here and there, well, chances are it happens to somebody else. So often I have noted about your story of driving, Anna, when my story of driving has happened, which I've done a lot of in these years, the things always happen behind me, not in front of me. And I find out the next day, if ever. So, and that's how it always is. I'm in a bar or restaurant, and I say, well, I think I don't like the situation. It's time to go. Okay, let's go. Now, sometimes I hear that something bad happened after I left. Sometimes I hear nothing happens, but it didn't happen because I left. I may have been the cause. So, well, I don't know. I'm just very lucky. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you, Giles. And I guess this is going to be the last one. So A69, why is the future hidden from human beings? It's another question. I mean, the same question, but in different ways.
You're not sharing.
Not sharing with.
Oh, okay. So sharing now. So A69, why is the future hidden from human beings? Same question as, and I think Maria nailed on the head, right? What she said before. So if they knew the future, they would ignore the present and would not act with the same freedom. They would be swayed by the thought that is, if a specific event is to happen, there is no need to worry about it, or they would seek to prevent it. God did not want this to be this way, so that all people would contribute in the accomplishment of God's designs, even those designs they would want to prevent. Therefore, you often prepare the way for the events that occur over the course of your lifetime without even being aware of it, like Giles was saying.
I have to say that my current understanding is that God is a hands-off entity, and things happen because you plan it in that incarnation.
Yeah.
Or because it's always because you plan it, and it's not, and one size does not fit all. So the memory wipe is not always perfect. And so sometimes people can see the future, and luckily they only see a bit of it.
Yep. Thank you, Giles. Anybody else? Any other comment?
Just say happy birthday to you, Giles. It was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
2 days.
Retroactive birthday.
1 month
compliment.
ago, wasn't
1
it?
month,
A
not
month
today.
ago,
1 month.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 1 month ago. Sorry. I thought it was in August. No, it's in July. Yes.
Yeah.
And we didn't say anything. By the way, in you, Nora, when is your birthday?